welcome to the Exalted panel. So for Exalted 3rd Edition, I am very excited. I'm Dixie Cochran. I'm one of the in-house developers at Onyx Path Publishing. If you were here already, you probably saw me half an hour ago at the opening ceremonies because I'm on 10 panels this weekend. Yeah, I'm also disappearing into the background suddenly, so that's exciting. It's weird. Maybe I'm a Sidereal, and you are all forgetting me slowly. Um, but one of the things that I am in charge of is Exalted, and I love Exalted so much. I've gone from being a little baby person who knew nothing about Exalted in 2018 to being a big fan who still knows very little about it because there's so much to know in 2022. But I am joined today by Eric Minton.
So,
You want to say anything about yourself?
um,
You don't have to.
mm.
I'm not going to make you. But I
Oh, you
think
put me on the
Eric's cool.
spot. I don't know. Oh, yes. Dixie thinks I'm cool.
Well,
What else is there to say?
Eric's our creative lead. Eric has been shepherding the Exalted line for many years now and doing a fantastic job.
Oh,
Uh,
thank you.
we have Lauren Roy.
Ooh. Of course, this is the second my voice decides to cut out. Hello.
That happens to me all the time on the Pathcast. I'm always like, I have something to say. Yeah.
I've muted myself. Hi, I'm Lauren Roy. I'm one of the Onyx Path Exalted developers. There
You're
we
the
go.
Onyx Path developers too.
That's
Like
true. That's true.
you work on multiple lines.
That's true. I do. And for Exalted, I have worked on Adversaries and 100 Devils. I'm working on Across the Eight Directions, The Many-Faced Strangers with Eric. Adversaries and 100 Devils with the wonderful Megan Fitzgerald.
Mm-hmm.
I've written a whole lot of words for Exalted as well.
Yeah, but you also written most of our chapter fiction over the past edition. Like
Yeah.
you're our chapter fiction guru. And a very good novella.
Oh, thank
And
you.
another one that will eventually come out when I have time. And then of course we have the excellent, the shit poster supreme, Monica Speca. Well, you and Ray.
Introducing me like this is whose line is it anyway, where you're just like something serious for Eric, something serious for Lauren, and you're just like, and this bitch over here.
That's
Hi, I'm Monica.
That's because all the fan base loves how much you screw with them.
Yeah, that's true. I understand the nature of the relationship between, the developer and the fan base, and that is that I get to rattle your cage a lot and then laugh and run away. I'm Monica. I am one of the Exalted supplement developers. I'm also an Onyx Path developer. I've done a lot of stuff for Story Path games, a lot of stuff for Scion. I've written an awful lot of words.
Yeah.
Yep, I've written an awful lot of words. But my Exalted 3rd Edition core line credit is co-developing Crucible of Legend.
Yeah. I always keep forgetting that's like your first core line credit because of Essence being the thing that it is.
The thing, yeah. That's Sunday. Come back on Sunday if you want to hear me talk about that thing.
Yeah. We're
not going to talk about it tonight.
I mean, it might get brought up. We're mostly going to talk about Exalted 3rd. Because,
yeah, we are mostly
of course.
Talk about
and of course, as
new
part
stuff.
of 3rd, I just had to separate them somehow.
They're different questions. People have different questions. It's fair.
Yeah. So the most exciting thing right now about 3rd, obviously, is the Indiegogo for Exigence that is currently going on. So that has gone really well. I know that Indiegogo seems like a bit of a slower burn than Kickstarter, and it's going to. I mentioned this in the last panel, because it takes your money up front, so people need to wait till they get paid, they need to save up for it, whatever. I bet we're still going to see a bunch of stuff in backer kit, which is also exciting. But I would not be surprised if that one just kind of like keeps crawling ahead on some level.
Honestly, I've been really impressed with how well Exigence is doing.
Yeah?
Yeah. Given that Indiegogo is a less popular platform, the thing that you said about paying up front, like, it's doing great. It's doing fantastic. It charged its way right up to the number 3rd biggest grossing tabletop Kickstarter, or not Kickstarter, crowdsourced event on Indiegogo so far. So like, it's doing fantastic. Crowdsourced event, that's what happens when you put me on the spot.
We have a problem in our culture where Kickstarter has become like Kleenex or Band-Aids.
Yes.
Where like it's just what you say instead of crowdfund, and it's like, no, we're crowdfunding it. We're
crowdfunding.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's doing fantastically. We had a preview today for the Architects, which of course are the Exigence of individual cities. Monica, you seem really stoked about the Architects.
They are one of the new things from 3rd edition that has me really excited to play Exalted again.
Yeah.
Like I just love their whole thing. Also, I worked on them, but I love their whole thing.
Nice.
I dig the whole Exalted the City thing. I like the whole weird like locational powers, like a bunch of the stuff in the preview. Just super, super cool. And the sort of thing that like is a thing I'm surprised had not come up in Exalted previously. Like it's such a cool idea that like jives with the setting for me, that I'm surprised it took us this long to come up with them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just, I'm just excited about them. They're super cool.
Which city are you going to be an Exigent of?
Oh, good question. I don't know, if I were playing it in a game, depending on the type of game, I might make up a place and then go from there instead of trying to shoehorn my OC into an existing place. But there's oh man, you could do lots of cool stuff. It's a hard choice. There's a lot of cool cities to be the architect of.
It's given me a really cool chance to make Batman and Exalted, because just make the, you know,
the architect of Gotham, obviously.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, that is still going on. There was a link in the chat. Thank you so much. And that will be going on for a little while yet. So keep an eye on it. We still have a bunch of stretch goals that we could possibly hit. Looking forward to all those. I know a lot of people are excited about. Is it Foxbinder? Is that what everybody's freaking out about all the time in the Discord? But yeah, we have lots of fun things still to look at, and a companion book to work on, because we do that now, so that our books aren't 600 pages. So yeah, we are very, very excited about that. Also in the pipeline right now is Sidereals. Do you want to talk a little bit about how we've updated that for 3rd edition, Eric?
Yeah, so Sidereals have always been a major part of the setting, pretty much integral to the whole concept of how creation in Exalted came to be, with the whole usurpation that, or solar purge, as they would call it.
Right.
Basically ended the first age as we know it, and they are in position to have to deal with the return of the Solar Exalted now and all of the other major events going on, the war between the Lunars and the Dragonblood, etc., etc. But that's all sort of a side story to their main job, which is making sure that the plans of destiny, Heaven's sort of 5-year rolling plan for the future, comes into play. And we've been working on updating them so that they're more engaging to play, they're more self-directed, that a lot of things that were sort of not really made very clear in previous editions is presented in a way that storytellers and players can work with directly. You know, what do they Sidereal actually do when they are a agent of heaven going out into creation to make sure that destiny plays out as desired? How do we make that fun? How do we make that interesting?
Right. Yeah, I think the biggest criticism that I've heard, or like the thing that people always talk about, especially the dev team even, about past editions, is they made Heaven sound a little boring sometimes. And like,
they made Sidereal sound like functionaries and jobsworths who were just like, you know, buried under paperwork and given orders. And
like, that could be a character concept, but there's only 100 of them and they're in charge of fate. They're kind of important.
And they're and they're Exalted and they're player characters.
Yeah.
People don't generally play Exalted because they want to be sitting at a desk all day and getting orders from bosses.
I mean, I do feel like an Exalt in my everyday life. You're absolutely correct. I just like sitting here at my desk and never saving anyone's life or changing the course of fate. You know, I just hang out here and play Switch.
You've changed the course of my fate so many times.
Aww. But yeah, so I also know that one of the big design decisions was to make Yushan feel a lot more playable. A lot more of a setting.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a city the size of a continent, and you really want that to actually feel big, and you want it to not feel homogeneous, you know? It should be full of wonderful, interesting, dangerous, exciting things that you can use at the gaming table, rather than just, oh yeah, it's a big city, there's an office over there, there's a magic subway over there. I mean, you want to be able to have adventures in the places where your characters are going to be.
Yeah, you should be able to play a whole Sidereals game of like intrigue behind the gods and the bureaus and all the other stuff going on in Yushan, rather than just like, oh, every Sidereals game is you've been sent to Earth or to creation for, you know, reasons.
And even then, you don't want it to just be, oh, you can do some politics here. You want to be able to have like combats and romances and exploration and all the other things that you can do in other parts of the setting.
Yeah, totally. Um, I am seeing some questions. We'll get those towards the end of this. We're just going to talk about what we're going to talk about first. But I am keeping an eye on all your questions, just so you know. I do want to say that someone said that they got a commission of the architect of Chicago, and the artist drew it with a baseball cap, and it was amazing. So,
Nice.
but all the actual book line questions I will be holding for a little bit. But yeah, no, I'm very excited about Sidereals. We are, of course, already talking about where that's going to go afterwards because it moved through development really quickly. Which is awesome. Like, obviously, we talked in the opening ceremonies about all the different supply chain issues and COVID and the last 2 years, aka 2 decades, aka 2 weeks, because it's all the same as far as we're concerned. And how that's been affecting everything. Like, not just us, but like the company and production and shipping and everything else. So I feel like we're finally kind of dragging things back out into the light. And one of the things that I've been so excited about is that Sidereals has such a quick turnaround. So who knows when we're gonna see that one for everybody, but hopefully sooner rather than later, would be what I hope. Yeah, right. There also has been some talk. I would love to gauge interest if anybody's interested in maybe a map of Yushan as a play aid.
Yes.
I feel like that would be cool.
That sounds really cool to me.
So yeah. We've also got a bunch of supplements that are coming up. So of course those are core books because all of the splat books are core books on some level. But we have Lauren, Many Faced Strangers.
Hi, yes.
So that is in development.
It is in development, post-editing development, and it is a supplement that goes with Lunars. Obviously, we've got a bunch of cool stuff in there. We've got locations. We go farther in depth into the Shadowfang Vanguard and their territory. We have Mount Namas, which is a location where there are 2 elder Lunars who they've been there for, I don't know, a very long time, and they were working together for ages,
right?
And they've recently had kind of a philosophical split, so it's one of those things where like this great friendship suddenly has this tension to it, and Seven Obsidian Leopard is kind of up on the top of the mountain with all these weird gods of war and death, and you have Tanisa Ringeater who's down on the bottom kind of tending to the cities, and their students still come to see both of them, but when your teachers are fighting, it's kind of rough.
Yeah, that's a lot. It's fun though.
Yeah.
Yeah, so and there's obviously those stretch goal books are where we also put a lot of the backer names, charms, artifacts, things like that. So folks who've been waiting on that will be seeing them very shortly, which is exciting. And then we have Crucible of Legend, Monica, the Exalted Chapter 7.
The much awaited much awaited storyteller guide, which has a whole lot of really cool stuff we're going to preview. You're going to get the first glimpse at my memory just was like, no, you don't remember any of that. I was like, I literally looked at it a couple days ago. We have a first look at alchemicals, Gatimians, and infernals, if I'm remembering correctly. Plus there's chock full of really excellent storyteller advice for running every other Exalt type that has come out up until now, including Sidereals. There are some, we basically have like a how to homebrew and our suggested homebrew chapter, a bunch of rules adjustments and hacks and changes and suggestions that are all optional that can make your gameplay a little easier, that address some of the common things that we know are pain points for people.
Right.
Yep. And it's all kind of official advice for dealing with that sort of thing. So we have a whole section on that. Trying to think what other things. I just looked at it very recently, but it's been a minute since we finished it.
Anyone who listens to me talk on anything knows that books go in my head and then immediately leave
and
them.
Right out. Yep.
So I don't know what's in anything.
Yeah,
I'm constantly having to look up stuff.
It's gonna be great to go along with all the other books that are coming out because it's basically has been in process this long to make sure that we got everything right as things are continuing to come out. So advice for Sidereals, advice for Dragonblooded, advice for Lunars, advice for Solars, which are all in process or out, and then of course the future stuff, Abyssals, Alchemicals, Infernals, Exigence, Catimians, Liminals, and so on and so forth. Everything a storyteller could possibly want or need.
Yeah, no,
I think that's the whole pitch. I ran out of steam. I'm sorry.
That's exciting. No, that's awesome.
I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a really, really good book that we've been spending a lot of time making sure we get just right. And I am excited for all the Exalted STs out there to get it in their hot, grubby little hands.
And I just people get a little like freaked out sometimes if they see that, like, you know, Eric and Vance were on this one, and because they were doing too much work and I made them stop doing too much work. But Vance has had a chance to look over everything, so don't worry, it is in line with everything else, all the visions. Eric still looks over every outline, Eric still gets passes on everything. It's fine.
Yeah, don't worry.
Got it.
Done with direction, don't worry.
If Eric and Vance developed every single book, you would get one book every 2 years, because they both have day jobs that are very busy. And also, I'd like them to have lives. So,
work-life balance is very important.
Maybe. So yeah.
Just a little.
I've heard of this work-life balance. What is it again?
It's an Essence 5 charm.
Yeah. Something you have to work up to, I think.
There's a lot of prereqs.
Oh yeah. It's a hell of a tree. It's a lot. Yeah. So, going back a little bit, Monica and Lauren, you both worked on Sidereals as well, right?
Yeah.
So,
sure did.
Do either of you want to say the thing you're most excited about, Monica? Do you want to talk about something? It could be something you worked on. I don't care.
Yeah, sure. Well, I was very, very excited to be the person who gets to bring Sad Ivory to 3rd edition.
See, and I am, as a baby Exalted person, as I mentioned at the beginning, I don't know anything about Sad Ivory, but I know that whenever somebody says it, everybody like makes a hilarious face and says a thing, and I'm like, okay, don't know what that means, but we'll see.
Yeah, you'll see. I would say that my write-up does not go out of its way to explain why she is Sad Ivory, but you will know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You will read it and know.
Okay.
Yep. So I was very excited to do that. I did a whole bunch of NPCs for this book and then a whole bunch of artifacts. So that was my contribution this time around. But probably the thing I'm most excited for as a fan/player is all the new Sidereal charms, because Sidereal charm sets have always been very small. And since 3rd edition charm sets tend to be much bigger than they have been in previous editions, we got to have a whole lot of brand new stuff. And all the brand new stuff is really cool.
That's exciting.
And I'm really excited to try to play with it. And I had the joy of reading through pretty much everything, because I also wrote the Pillars of Creation conversion for Essence, which we'll talk about on Sunday for Sidereals, which meant I got to go through everything and pick out some of the new stuff to put in both books.
That is really cool.
Yep.
Also, I mean,
so
of course,
that's what I'm jazzed about.
Had tiny sets beforehand, because all they did was sit around and do paperwork, right?
Right, of course, yeah.
They had no actual meaning to the plot. They're not in charge of Destiny. No. Lauren, what about you?
So I was joking with my gaming group at one point when, because we played Exalted back in 1st edition in college, and the joke while I've been working on it has been, I feel like every book I've ended up not through no campaigning to the developers on my part, being assigned something that touches on one of the games that I've been in.
That's awesome.
And so one of the quick characters that I wrote for Sidereals is the pattern spiders, which I adore, because I had a kind of snarky pattern spider familiar in one of our very old games. So I was just delighted to be writing them up for this edition and kind of giving them a little toolbox of charms that they can do. And
I always love when that happens, when somebody's like, you assigned me the thing that I always wanted to work on, and I'm like, I didn't know that, but go you?
Yep.
Like, my getting to write vampires where they came from beyond the grave was a big deal for me, because I love cheesy vampire stuff. And the fact that Dawkins was just like, hey, you want to write some of these villains? I was like, yes, I do.
Yes.
I do want to write Dracula. I am excited for this.
Yes, please.
So Eric, I'll talk a little bit about Across the Eight Directions, which has taken a hot minute, but I think it's gonna be worth it.
Hope so. We did put a lot of time and effort into it, trying to develop all 8 of those directions.
It's a big book, isn't it?
It's the biggest non-splat book we've done.
Yeah, like it is not small.
It is nearly the size of like Dragon Blood or Lunars.
Yeah, we are also working on maps for every direction for
Yes!
people who like maps. So that's something that people are gonna see. So that's one of the books that unfortunately got battered around by the COVID wave a little bit. But I have turned the ship this way, and it's we're mending the sail so it can start going. But no, it is moving along. It seems a little slow. It has a pretty big art buy. One of the other things with a big art buy is adversaries. People always wonder, like, they were kind of like, why did 100 Devils take so long to get out of rotation? And it's because we chose to go monster manual format on those books and illustrate literally everything. So adversaries is getting the same treatment. Lauren and I have seen, I think, all the sketches now.
So excited.
And because this one is mostly full of humanoid adversaries, it's been really fun to see how everybody's been drawn differently.
Yeah.
So yeah, we are super excited about that as well, and it's moving.
I want to see.
I mean, you just gotta talk to me. I will email you all the pictures.
Hooray!
They're very cool.
They are very cool.
I was not at home when you sent the last batch.
I forgot
so I'm, like,
you were out of town.
I'm trying to look at them on my phone. I'm like, I want to see it in big, and I've just got this like tiny little screen.
Yeah, I was like, hey, can you approve these? Lauren's like, I'm getting on Space Mountain. I'm like, oh, shit, I forgot you weren't here. So yeah. So super excited about that. I'm actually extra excited about the cover.
I think that came out awesome.
I'm gonna spoil something.
Do it.
I'm just gonna spoil it. We have a Werestrider. A Werestrider.
Yes.
Warstrider. Well, it kind of is a Werestrider,
Sort of,
isn't
a
it?
bit, yeah.
We have a Warstrider that changes its form depending on who's using it. And on the cover, it's a frog. It's a big old frog robot.
Frog Strider.
It makes me so happy. I don't know if Sutra's in the audience, but if they are, they just fainted. But yeah, I'm really excited about Frog Strider. But yeah, we have way too much fun stuff going on in this book. It is full of adversaries, but of course, as with all of our stuff, you can always pull ideas from it for your campaign for other things. They can be NPCs, they can be friends. You can take one of them and twist them into your OC. We don't care. Like, it's just a fun book of ideas.
Yes.
And it's very well written. I'm very happy with it. And that is the other one, of course, that started off as monthly releases and now is not. Now is going to be a full book with lots of adversaries in it.
Yeah.
With full illustrations.
Yeah. There was another art piece that was really cool. It was sort of like an undead pirate captain character.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember doing the art note for it, and I wanted to say this is basically Mary Wiseman looking like undead and in a wedding dress, because if anybody's watching Star Trek Discovery, Tilly is one of my favorites. And you don't want to say, it's going to be, it looks like this person, because you don't necessarily want the artist to draw that person. But so I didn't put it in the note, and I was like, oh, I wonder if I should have just said to Dixie, like, hey, can we find a way to suggest this? But the artist nailed it, totally nailed it.
Yay!
And it was perfect. So
that's exciting. Yeah, we do try not to use obviously real people's likenesses for art, because that can be bad. If you do see a real person, like there's a one of the vampires in Children of the Blood that looks like me, and everybody's like, did you know that? I'm like, yeah, of course he asked, it's fine. Like, it was like a fun little Easter egg, because like her coloring and all that is nothing like me, so it's just like face shape. I don't know, it was fun. So yeah. So past that, am I missing any current exciting projects? I feel like we got a bunch of novellas coming out for other stuff. We've got all kinds of things. We got an Indiegogo going on. I could make an announcement if people want me to make an announcement.
I think you should make an announcement.
I don't know.
I think they're. I don't know. Is the audience ready for this?
I was gonna
They
wait a
wanted
minute
it.
until it was built up a little bit. I was like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna build tension. Oh, Ian's screaming in the chat. All right, thanks. Announcement. So unfortunately, the devs for this project aren't here tonight. We will heap praise on Elliot and Vance for the rest of the thing. But as of very recently, we have been approved to go forward with our Abyssals book. So we have pitched it. It has been approved by Paradox. It is an outline-ish stage. So yeah, that is something that we are working on. I guess you're there in the chat. I assume that's Elliot if you're alternative stanza. So Elliot's in the chat being redacted. Elliot has redacted himself into the chat. But yeah. So we're doing that, and I'm excited. That's really most of what I can say about it right now. Aside from that, it's gonna be Abyssal, so it's gonna be real creepy and real weird, and have lots of fun new widgets to play with as we update them for 3rd edition, like we have done all the other splats. I know that when we first were starting some of this, it wasn't like... It's kind of hard to envision, like, Splat Book 5 or 6 when you're still dealing with Splat Book 2 and 3. But now we are to a point where we're like, we can envision these ones. Okay, let's go. Let's do it. So we're gonna work on some Abyssals. I'm excited. Yeah.
I love that the war kitty in the chat, goth screaming. That's great. Because
I mean, goth screaming is pretty much where it is at, right? And also people do feel free to put audience, folks, I don't know, words. Do feel free to put any questions in the chat. We are here for that. We are here to answer some questions. We will be taking questions as soon as we can. The working title of Abyssals is still a maybe, but we do have lots of fun things as far as what we're gonna do with that. We got some Death Lords, some Underworlds, some charms, obviously, some necromancy, some artifacts, all the stuff that you would expect from an Abyssals book. So yeah, that's fun. Someone else talk about a book for a second so I can look at questions. Monica, talk. You're good at it.
Ah, fuck. Hi, everybody.
Hi, Monica.
Hi, Eric.
Hi, Monica.
Today we're going to talk about what Abyssal thing are we most excited to bring forward into 3rd edition while we stall for Dixie.
Oh, what are we excited about?
Yeah.
The Underworld, definitely.
Ooh, yeah.
Wanna
Definitely.
make
I
it
agree.
An actual, like, interesting play space where you go to do stuff rather than where you try desperately to not play.
I 100% agree.
Kind of like Yushan. It's like let's update it. Yeah, no, I had fun doing. I read a lot of the Underworlds for Scion, and so like seeing like making them playable was a challenge. There were a couple that I was like, you can't go here. If you go here, you die. Because there's a few that like that's just how the myth is. It's like you don't want to go here. It's real bad. But having a playable Underworld is great. I always love having different planes of existence, so that's awesome. A couple people have asked about liminals and Gatimians and whether they're going to be crowdfunded on their own or companion books or whatnot. And I have to say that those decisions haven't completely been solidified yet. And once we figure that out, we'll announce it. I don't want to rob anybody of having an actual companion. So making it a companion would be a little strange, but we are still talking about it all behind the scenes. So don't worry, we're not like planning to scrap Gatimians and liminals or anything. We're just trying to make sure that we can get some of the splats out because that's what we're focused on. So some of the big ones. The title for Sidereals. Do I even know? Yes, I do know. Should we say?
Are we keeping it a secret?
I don't see why. Go ahead, Eric.
Now I'm trying to remember because we had so many different versions of the title that we were knocking around, but I think the one we settled on was Sidereals Charting Fate's Course.
That's what I'm remembering with Charting Fate's Course.
Yep.
So okay.
That's what the outline I have open says, so I hope that's right.
Let's see. So yeah, as far as the companion books, I can't help you out that much. I don't know who this question is for, but how much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck was a full moon lunar?
A lot.
Yeah, a lot.
You'd have to roll.
Yeah.
Are they trying to dam up a river on the Blessed Isle somewhere?
It sounds like an opposed role, though.
Yeah.
Probably. Are we making new Death Lords?
We haven't settled on any yet. The plan is that instead of there are exactly 13 Death Lords, here are 9 of them, you have to make up the other 4 yourself.
Right.
It's there are at least 9, maybe there are more, maybe there are not. If there are more, that's because you, as a storyteller or players, want to add more that you've come up with that you think are awesome.
That makes sense. Yeah. Also, someone asked, are there new monsters in Sidereals?
Believe so? I'm actually not sure. That's a good question.
I haven't read it yet.
Let me check the outline.
Keep in mind that Eric is not directly developing Sidereals. That is Elliot and Vance, so that's why Eric is not as in the know on this one as he is on other projects.
Yeah. There are certain things that I know I wanted or expected in the book, but outlines are tight, word count is tight, and there's a lot of stuff that needs to go in here, so there might not have been room.
It's true.
What are we defining as monsters?
Yeah, I was gonna say there's almost certainly QCs. I'm assuming. But...
Oh yeah, there's definitely QCs. I have I'm looking at the outline, and also I wrote a bunch of the QCs
also,
for this.
Pattern spiders are kind of a monster.
Yeah, pattern spiders are sort of a monster, but I presume the question is things to fight, and I can confirm that there are definitely boss fight characters in this, but they're gods and spirits because it's Yushan, not behemoths or wild creatures or a new strange beast or something like that.
Yay.
There might be something new and strange buried in here, although probably not full monster manual write-ups.
Right. Yeah. I'm certain there's something new, interesting, and strange in the setting bits.
Eric, this is going to be for you. What are the focuses of the Northwest coverage at Across the 8 Directions? Do you remember anything about that book, or has it gone out your head?
Oh no, it will never leave.
Oh, okay.
I'm haunted.
Well, appropriate for the Northwest then.
The Northwest is the direction that we're using to explore the idea of horror games in Exalted, which is sort of tricky because Exalted PCs can generally just punch their way out of everything.
Right.
But we're poking around the edges of what you can do with spooky stuff and stuff that is too weird to be really explicable.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's got a whole bunch of places that are in ruins for various cryptic reasons, and where ancient powers from beyond the dawn of time lurk, or twisted forces that corrupt you if you interact with them, and all sorts of fun stuff like that.
That's
it's a great place. You should go there on vacation.
I don't think I will. Does anybody have a favorite sidereal martial art?
Charcoal March of the Spiders.
What does that do? You got really excited about that.
A lot of weird shit, Dixie.
Okay.
Yeah, climbing up the fabric of reality and entangling people in a web that you spin, and then being able to create venom that can reshape a person.
That's awesome. And terrifying.
Those are the highlights. There's a lot more than that.
Well, no, I assume it's not like a 2-charm martial art.
Yeah.
Oh, this martial art has 2 things you can learn. You're done. So if there are plans for any more solar circle spells?
Yes. If we can, we definitely will.
Excellent.
It's just that we don't have a book that has been approved yet in which we can put them, but when that happens, definitely yes.
Yeah, when and if, because as always, Paradox is the one that makes final decisions on what gets approved and what doesn't. Which is why we'd like to always say when, but usually we should say if, just in case.
You're right, when and if.
Someone asked if we would let Dex, I'm assuming they mean Dex Davacan, write Death Lord stats. I don't see why not, but we haven't assigned any word count yet, so who knows. Now a lot of people are yelling at me that pattern spiders aren't monsters, they are fuzzy robot friends and spider boys.
I mean, look, if you piss off a pattern spider, are they not monsters? Do you want to try them?
Does Across the 8 Directions talk about, I'm going to butcher this, Ixquatli? And if so, what are the gods they're like?
It does not talk about Ixquatli.
I said it right?
Yeah, you said it as right as anyone else has.
Okay.
I don't know what the right pronunciation is because it's not real. But no, we don't have any particular plans to cover it anytime soon.
That's okay.
There's so many places.
Yeah,
So little
creation's
word
not
counts.
small.
Very big, much stuff.
Very big, much stuff. I feel like I talked too fast about everything in the beginning, and I'm like, I don't know what to talk about. But yeah, we have lots of cool books coming out. I'm excited about them.
Talking fast has given us time to answer more questions.
Yeah, but now we're out of questions.
Oh
now I'm just waiting.
no!
I want to do a big Q&A. We're all here live, and I can't.
I'm sure our live studio audience could come up with more questions. They always have a million questions.
Actually, someone did ask if there were any specifically weird artifacts in Sidereals. Anything that you think is particularly interesting or strange that a Sidereal could use?
There were a lot of really cool artifacts in this section. I wrote up a set of star metal silk armor, which is basically armor but make it fashion, and has a whole bunch of evocations around inflicting consequences on other people.
Okay.
Yep.
I like that.
That's how I like to live my life.
Also, as somebody who keeps taking the silk armor artifact from Essence, I'm all about armor make it fashion. That just makes me happy.
I agree. Armor but make it fashion is the best way to go.
Yeah, exactly. We have been asked if Yushan has gondolas. I think Yushan has most forms of transportation, including a train now. Or trains. Which Elliot's always very excited to talk about on podcast. Someone has asked about new Dreaming Sea locations.
Yes, there are definitely in several new Dreaming Sea locations. Obviously, a few of them are big write-ups, and several of them are those little tiny postage stamp write-ups that we put around the periphery of new locations.
Those are always cool, though. I feel like those are really fun. They add a lot, you know?
But yeah, we've got Madara, which is the city of 1,000 wings, which is a ancient city-state, which is unfortunately been forced to submit as a protectorate to Prasad, who wants a foothold on the coast of the Dreaming Sea. And everyone there wishes they had a bird companion, which a select few get to have, which means that they're blessed by the spirits, and you get to have a little bird on your shoulder. It's awesome.
That sounds fun.
There's also, I don't know.
Looking forward to the art for that one.
Yeah, there's the Orchid Courts, which are the fair folk of the Dreaming Sea. There's Zakul, which is a pre-human city, which has existed before humanity, and where you can go to switch bodies. If you can beat them at their own game, their soul trading game.
That sounds awesome.
Were there any places I'm missing, Lauren?
Isir?
Well, I was thinking of new places. I think that was the question.
Okay.
Yeah, new Dreaming Sea locations.
Yeah. No, I think you've got them.
Let's see. Someone asked about the southwest and across the 8 directions, and I see what you're doing. I'm not going to go through all 8 of them. So it's the last one we're going to do. You get northwest and southwest. So what is the southwest like in AT-AD?
As with the Dreaming Sea, it's a pretty even mix of old and new places. We're bringing back Antang, which we are trying to make a little less Orientalist, which I think is a reasonable and common critique of previous portrayals.
I think we've tried to and have made it a lot less Orientalist.
What else? There's Nandao, which is one of the satrapies around the Mayu coast near Zhaoyun. It's a satrapy that submitted to the realm a long time ago. It's sorry, it's been a long week and my brain is starting to fade a little bit.
It's okay. It's a Friday night at almost 8 o'clock.
But it's the home to House Yue, which is one of the cadet houses that shows up in the realm and, heirs to the shogunate.
Nice. I still want to hear more about like people playing cadet house games because they always sound so cool to me. I'm like, I want to play a cadet house game. They sound nifty.
They're fun.
A conceptual question, because I know that your brain is excited to hear about conceptual questions, Eric. Can a normal god, it's in quotes, normal god like Wunja become as powerful and as numinously divine as the Incarna? Is that a possibility?
If it makes sense for your chronicle, then maybe.
It's the answer that we always give. If it makes sense for your game, go for it.
But if otherwise, no, that is not a default circumstance.
Let's see. That's how big Prasad is. Is it most of the northern region, or just kind of lopsided?
It's
it's
pretty
a
big,
empire.
but I mean, the thing about it is that territory historically doesn't necessarily work exactly the way we think of it in the modern world. It's sort of fuzzy around the edges. There's cities that are definitely ruled by Prasad. There's like riverways and areas that are firmly under their thumb, and then there are protectorates that are not so much so, in big swaths of, open land that theoretically they own, but if they're not watching, what are you going to do about it if someone wants to come through?
Right. Yeah.
And it is a bit lopsided, yeah.
Very cool. Well, Sidereals have a cool adventure location / seeds like the Cull for Dragonbloods and Lunars. I think that Yushan is our cool location for the most part. Is that right? Yeah.
I think that for the most part, yeah.
Although I'm sure there will be other adventure seeds and things throughout the book. Generally, one of the main rules of writing role-playing game books is that every sentence should contain a story hook. And we do try to adhere to that. So hopefully they'll be full of seeds for things for you to do with your Sidereal characters. So I'm excited about that.
I think there's going to be so many places to explore just in Yushan itself too, that the ideas will just gonna be rolling.
Elliot's trolling us by asking which Death Lord we want as our boss.
None of the above?
Yeah, none. But also somebody else asked what Death Lord are you most excited to see the write-up for, or do the write-up for?
I think my answer for both is Walker in Darkness. Always been a fan of the Walker in Darkness. I would want him to be my boss. One, because he has a big ghost dog, and two, because I think his sort of oeuvre is like what I like in a villain.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna be a hench person,
yeah, if I'm gonna be a hench, yeah, I would like to be in line with my boss. Yeah,
I'm alright with that. Yeah.
Though this is not. Don't take this as me saying that all Abyssals have to be antagonists or that they're automatically villains. I'm just if I'm gonna twirl my mustache, I may as well do it for a guy whose ideals I'm in line with. Also, we've so far done a really good job of reimagining and revitalizing a lot of classic stuff from previous editions, and bringing them forward with the sensibilities of the current time. And I'm really looking forward to seeing all the Death Lords get this new coat of paint. And he's kind of always been my favorite guy, so that would be my choice for seeing a write-up for.
Someone did ask if we had any plans to announce something like Alchemicals before Exalted 4th, and I'm like, we're not thinking about Exalted 4th right now. We are working on Exalted 3rd and getting that out to people. So yeah, that's a bit of a cart before the horse question. I can't do anything with that question. How much in Crucible of Legend is there for Exigence and Abyssals compared to Solars, Lunars, Dragonbloods, and Sidereals?
Everybody got the same amount of word count.
Equal opportunity exalts.
Yeah. There is not any more or any less. There is advice for all of them in the one section, split about as evenly as we could make it.
Will Crucible have more on creating god-blooded NPCs or familiars?
I don't think so.
Okay.
This is mostly focused on the Exalted, the rules, and showing you how to run the game and get people on board. I just remembered that we talk also about onboarding new people. That's a really important thing too. And then I remember that there's a bit on what to name your character, what sort of real life things to take inspiration from, what pieces of history should you look at, what cultures are worth being inspired by, and talking about being inspired by it instead of just stealing it and calling it yours.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff like that. It's really more focused on running the game, helping you run the game, and then giving a bunch of ideas for using the Exalted, because there's a lot of Exalted and we only had so much book. So I know that there's stuff about QCs and antagonists in there, but I don't think it's very specifically focused on God-blooded or familiars.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Someone else asked a question that they know I can't answer. They're like, are there any new kinds of exalts as ideas or planning that you haven't heard about? I can't tell you that.
We're not planning to add yet more new secret exalts to the game.
But also, if we were, I wouldn't tell you. Like, come on.
But no, I'm to be clear, we're planning not to.
No, I think 10 Exalt types along with some of the optionals is plenty, honestly. And that's a lot still. So, I think it's exciting.
There's something you want, Exigence lets you make it.
Build an Exalt workshop.
So I'm trying to scroll through all this.
Your Exalt comes in a little box.
Well, Adversaries of the Righteous. Does Adversaries have Infernal as antagonists, Lauren? An Infernal? I don't know if it does because we haven't written the book yet.
I think it does.
It's one of those things where like we need the rules for the character before we can put the characters in things.
Yeah.
So it's a little
does
difficult.
It does have an Exigent that you could probably refluff as an Infernal pretty easily.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there are
So-
a lot of creepy-ass Exalts in there. If you wanted to just kind of, like, say, like, oh, it's actually this thing. Like, I'm not going to stop you.
Yeah. Our I'm drawing a blank on his
They
name.
are creepy.
Our Tomb Raider, he's an Abyssal.
The Prince Resplendent in the Ruin of Ages.
That's him. Yep.
That's a great
But
name.
Abyssal, not Infernal.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. We put things in there that we can.
Yeah, Braze the Accursed, the Exigent, has something that looks a lot like an Infernal Devil Body. It was parallel evolution, but I'm naming him specifically because he probably would be a pretty good stand-in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Are there any new or alternate rules, Monica, in Crucible that you're excited about? Someone asked what the rules were like in Crucible. I'd rather ask you that question.
Yeah. That would involve me remembering them more clearly, so I apologize to the
Are there any
to the audience member. Yeah,
systems
so
you're excited about that you ever
I remember that there is a real good touch-up of the naval combat system that makes up for one of the big problems with that a lot of people have pointed out to us. And so there's going to be alt rules for that. That's really cool if you want to fight with ships. And then there are a bunch of really interesting new stuff to change slightly the way initiative works as a basically as like a resource mechanic. It sort of looks at that resource mechanic as a resource mechanic and then gives you a bunch of proposed house rules for adjusting its flow back and forth. If that was something that was a challenge for you in your games.
Nice.
I know that's not everybody has an issue with it, but like if that was something, we have a whole bunch of cool rules to do that. Or if you're just looking to spice things up or change things around, there's a bunch of alt rules for that too. And I want to give the example, but I don't 100% remember how it works. But I remember there's a thing that lets you get out of crash.
Okay.
And that's one of the new rules that lets you sort of like wipe your jaw and be like, okay, let's go.
Which is a staple of the genre. Like that
Definitely,
is absolutely a staple.
You have to say, I can do this all day.
All day, yep.
And then turn it into a musical. But someone else asked if it was possible that we might further flesh out the 3 optional or apocryphal Exalted, or is the appendix in Exigence all that is likely? Anything's possible. Also, I always say to keep watching stretch goals if you want more content for a certain line. Keep
just up your pledges.
Everybody pledge $2,000. Make Elliot and Vance write all of the giant Exigent write-ups that they will. No. We had to cap that one at 2, because that's a lot of words that were given to you. Not giving to you, that you were paying for, but thank you very much. We were happy to write them, but we can't do too many of them because that would be the whole book. I don't know anything about what you just asked, Samurai Majuro, so I can't answer that. So let's ask that they hear that Sun Wukong is a good inspiration for Lunars. Is there a good mythic inspiration for Dreamsold that you can think of? Now we reach the Jeopardy music portion of the panel.
You'd really want to ask Vance that. They're Vance's baby.
So that is something that you can ask in the fan cord or the actual Onyx Path Discord if you want to. I don't think Vance is in the chat. This person's very mad I haven't seen some artwork by a person. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I haven't seen everything on the internet. There's a lot of things on the internet. That said, yeah, we're getting towards time. About a couple minutes left. But I want to thank everybody who has been supporting the Exigence Indiegogo campaign. We are currently, as Monica said earlier, the third highest crowdfunded RPG project on that site, which is super exciting. We're at almost 350% as of just now when I looked. We still got just under 2 weeks to go. We've got 13 days. So yeah. So keep looking at that. We do have other high-end pledge tiers opening up as we hit stretch goals. We actually added a few more because the first ones went so fast. So keep an eye out on those as well if you can save up some money and you want one. Also, as I said, it'll be a backer kit. So you'll have your chance to upgrade or change your pledge there if you want to. You can go from PDF to hardback, whatever. Because I think the hardback's going to be really pretty. I'm super excited about it. And I'm excited to see who we put on the cover for the POD too. Because we're already talking about that behind the scenes. Because we always pick a specific person to put on the cover. Someone asked if we were going to get rules for Fae.
If we have the opportunity, we will provide a lot of information on the Fair Folk. We don't have any plans to provide them as a playable option because we're focused right now very narrowly on making Exalted playable, and because trying to present them as like the infinite range of possibility of the wild becomes much harder when you try and nail down an actual player character rule set.
Yeah, that is a problem, but well, we'll have enough out there that people can probably figure out how to homebrew them, right? As of right now, we have no plans to update Shards of the Exalted Dream. Once again, we don't decide what books we make Paradox says. We can just pitch to them and they let us know things. Someone wants to know if Alat could beat 5 Days Darkness in a wrestling match.
You'll have to figure that out for yourself.
Yeah, that is an at your table thing. Why do people want canon answers to things like this?
Write that fanfic on AO3 and link it to me.
That is a very, very Monica Speca thing to say. That I'm here for. But also, that's funny. I want to spoil any information on Sidereals signature characters. Maybe.
So one of my favorites among them is the Chosen of Secrets is sort of an older tomb robber woman who's kind of a badass, and I like her a lot. And when I was writing one of her lines in the fiction, I might have left a comment that said, "This character is Eda the Owl Lady, don't at me." And I think it was Elliot that came back and was like, well, yes, but also River's song, and so that sort of Venn diagram is mostly a circle. And I don't know how much anyone else will agree with that once they read her, but I loved writing the character.
Totally. We even asked what our favorite entries are in 100 Devils Night Parade. I will let Lauren go last because she has to think about it because she developed it. I like Mice of the Sun. I think they're cute. I want one. I want a little something else.
This is a cheating answer, but I'm going to say the Uldrasec.
Why is that cheating?
Because I wrote them.
I am likewise going to give a cheating answer and say the Giant Wall of Snake Lady.
Giant Wall of Snake Lady is very good. I'm a big fan of that. I had that was one of the ones that I got to see every single piece of art from because it had transitioned over to Megan and Lauren, so it was all going straight through me, and just I saw that and I was like, what does this art note even say? And then I found out, I was like, oh, okay. And I also love that the book goes from like weird porcupine things that are adorable to like Giant Wall of Snake Lady. I'm like, that's a range. The book has range. I was also very excited that we actually managed to get 100 entries on it because that was important to me, that it actually was 100 Devils Night Parade. So yeah, someone in chat just called it approximately all of the snakes. I'm like, yeah, you're not wrong. Take. I also love the cover of that book in general, just the idea of like a Devil Night Parade. Like, I want to go to that parade. It looks cool. It's exciting. And also trying to explain.
Totally safe.
Right? And also trying
You'll
to
be
like
fine.
make sure the artist goes like, it's at night, but there's no stars and there's no moon. There's nothing in the sky. Please understand. It's a very specific time of year, and that it's not the time of year. There's no time of year right now. Yeah, it was fun. Lauren, have you thought about it?
I'll cheat too. Why not? First of all, I love how much the fans have embraced the old Drasek. Where they're just like, it's just this big messenger that's just gonna burst through the wall. I was delighted when that commentary was happening in the Exalted Discord. My favorite is the Wreck of the Ruby Wren, which is a ghost ship.
Oh, that's also really good.
Yeah.
Honestly, I like critters. So whenever people are like, here's some critters, I'm like, yay! I want to look at them forever. But I'm drawn to the precious ones. I've also got a really soft spot for Skrull. He's a little paper boy. He's a little
made up entirely of spells.
He's just a little paper spell dude. He's all right. He's just doing his best.
He's fine.
He's all right.
That art was so good.
Yeah. Like, definite shout out to all of our amazing artists, whether it's Hive, Gong Studios, Youngly, Mel Yuan, of course, is the OG Exalted artist that everybody loves. Shout out to Mel for drawing the best Amada that we've ever had.
Yes.
As well, when it comes to Exalted. And for providing the line art to fans as a coloring book if you want to color your own Samada. Like,
love it.
That's my favorite thing. How much of Crucible's development influenced Essence and vice versa, Monica, since you and Neil were the lead devs on both of those?
So they're like siblings more or less, as they were in development also at the same time, and by a lot of the same people. So a lot of the same principles about getting people into Exalted and like helping people learn about the game and presenting them with a lot of things to like onboard folks into this wonderful world that we all really love, like that love and attention was all put into that. The needs of the two game systems are pretty different. So like, if you're asking me if we like hid Essence rules in Crucible, no, we didn't.
No.
I do think the rules that we had up for stunting are presented as an optional rule, and that's one of the things that bleeds over because it's one of the things that Neil and I thought was just a generally good idea, and then Eric and Vance obviously agreed and approved to have that in there, so that's one of the things that crosses over. But like, we more or less were addressing things that fans have talked about that we also acknowledge as being like, well, you know, we could provide advice for this, or like this is an issue that we know we can iron out. Here's some official errata, or not, I would call it errata, that's not correct. Official advice for dealing with these things. Hacks, yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, so like that is where they overlap. I think that's the end of my answer. My brain just went, nope, we're done.
I love that it's the second panel of the con and all of us are like, at least I have an excuse, because for those of you who weren't in the last panel, I have COVID. That's my excuse for being weird and out of it.
I just worked all day. That's my excuse.
Yeah, I actually didn't work all day because I was like, I gotta save my energy for tonight. I have to save my energy for tonight. Dixie, you can do it. Take a shower. Come on. We've also...
It's Friday.
It is Friday, but I'm doing this all weekend. We've been asked if we can tell folks... We have 1 minute to go, so it's going to be the last question. Can you tell us more about how the Sidereals predict the future and how they manipulate fate? Is there a specific...
Magic.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. I was like, they're exalts. It's magic. That's a great answer.
The Loom of Fate is involved in some of their prophecy stuff, but some of it is just charms or, you know, pattern spidery stuff or whatever. A lot of it just like, it's sidereal magic because they're exalts and they're magical and they have powers and stuff.
I do like
the things that are based on the constellations are really, really cool.
They are very cool. Yeah. I do like that Nautilin asked, are the Sidereals powerful enough to predict when Sidereals will be released? And somebody correctly pointed out that Sidereals was released in 2003. But I think the only person powerful enough to predict that right now is Dixie Cochran and the team at Onyx Path Publishing. And we're not telling, because we are the Incarna. That said, thank you all for tuning in and for being so talkative and asking all these questions, because that has helped all of us with our end of the week brains having to talk about for half an hour, or for an hour. An hour. It's a full hour. Yeah, so we will be around all weekend. Like I said, like Monica said, we have the Essence panel, I think at 11:30? 11:30 on Sunday morning.
Yeah.
So if you have Essence questions specifically, please tune into that. We'll be talking a lot about it. We're very excited. The next panel on this channel is going to be Scion with Neil Erwin Price, Hiro Mikota, David Castro, and Jeffrey McVeigh. So that'll be a fun conversation, I'm sure. Get all your information about God, demigod, dragon, masks, all the stuff that's coming out. All the stuff that's happening right now. And as for that, Exigence Indiegogo is going on. And we will let you know about Sidereals as we have information about it, along with Abyssals. But thank you all for showing up. And if you want to plug your pluggables, Monica, if you have any pluggables to plug,
play Exalted and follow me on Twitter. I also now have a Tumblr. I'm Dice Wizard on Tumblr. It turns out people actually talk about games there, so you can follow me there.
You've also got like multiple podcasts.
I do. Shit. Yeah, I do. You can also listen to me talk about game design on Bonus Experience, which is at bxpcast.com, or tune in to the completed, but we may have some more content in the future, Systematic Understanding of Everything. If you want to get your friends into Exalted, it's a great explainer that sort of gives the 101 and top level details on the setting and the rules. We explain both 3rd edition and Essence, so no matter where you are starting, there's an episode for you. And that is at exaltcast.com.
Lauren, what about you?
You can find me on Twitter mostly as @Falconess, which is somewhere under my name there. And that is where I will talk about writing things and gaming things and neat stuff that's coming up.
Buy Lauren's books.
Yes, also
like
that.
even stuff. Even Lauren's non-Onyx Path book. Just buy Lauren's books. Lauren's a fantastic writer.
If you like vampires and bookstores, I have a couple of those.
And Fire Children.
Also that, yes.
Yeah.
It's a YA fantasy. Thank you, Dixie.
Of course. Eric, what about you?
You can find me on the official Exalted Discord.
You don't say the official Exalted Discord. That's the fan cord. The official Discord is the Onyx Path Discord, technically.
You can also find me on the fan Exalted Discord.
Oh, okay.
I am on many Discords. I am discordant.
We are all discordant here. It's okay. I was just giving you crap because the other day somebody in the Discord said that, and I was like, no, we're official. Damn it. But no, the fan court is a thriving and wonderful community, and I love everybody over there. The moderators are fantastic. I cannot do it without them. I love our Discord as well. I am a moderator, so I don't like having to moderate it. So, that's where we are. You can listen to me talk about all kinds of things on the Onyx Pathcast every single Friday. If you want more information about Exigence, we did do an interview very recently with Vance and Elliot, so if you want to go back and listen to that, feel free. We've done lots of Exalted interviews over the past 4 years we've been doing this podcast, so please feel free to go download any of those episodes and listen to them to get more info about things. That said, thank you all for tuning in, and see you soon for Scion. Bye!